Hey guys, this is Jake Halter for JAYONBOXING here giving you a preview and prediction for Jaron Ennis versus Eimantas Stanionis. But before we get started, please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It definitely helps out the channel. And please leave your predictions down in the comments section below. Would love to hear them all. A little bit of fight info here. As mentioned, we have Ennis taking on Stanionis. This will be at the legendary Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey, airing on DAZN in the welterweight division with Ennis's IBF and Stanionis' WBA welterweight titles on the line, as well as the vacant Ring Magazine portion of the gold. Well, damn, this is a very good fight. Forget what the odds might say. This is the toughest fight for both men, in my opinion, for their careers thus far. True, Ennis might deserve to be the favorite, but he will be tested to say the least. With Ennis, you have a fighter that seems crazy skilled, high level of talent, but he's still looking for that fight to prove it at the top level against one of the best fighters. And he'll get to try and show that against Stanionis. In Eimantas, you have a fighter that is the dark horse of the division. You'll find the bigger names, sure, but maybe not tougher outings with most at 147 pounds. For those reasons, these guys are kind of perfect for one another. Ennis needs to show he can still shine against the tougher guys, and Stanionis needs to find that big name that he can really prove himself against. They have that in one another, but who proves their point in this fight? We'll get into that, but first, let's ask some of the biggest questions heading into the contest. First thing I'd ask is, will Ennis get his chin tested? To be fair, Ennis has been tagged before, but getting tagged in those bigger fights is different. There's a difference between getting hit by someone that can really offer you no level of fear. When someone tags you because you're highly offensive and they are just trying to keep you off them, that's one thing. When it's in a big fight with another top guy, it matters. Does it fold you, or do you shake it off? The great ones have that stuff that lets them shake it off. Stanionis can crack and is skilled enough to get in some shots, so you're going to find a little bit out about Ennis here, in my opinion. This could well be when we see if Ennis has that stuff to make him special. I'd also ask, does Stanionis have something special? While we're going to talk a lot about in this fight is how good Ennis might be, the same question can and should be posed against Stanionis. Eimantas is undefeated, has underrated defense, a great engine, and can crack. He's more than a solid fighter. But how much more? Not to be the silver lining guy, but a strong performance even in defeat for Stanionis would be great for him. However, he won't be looking for just a strong performance. That's what makes him dangerous. And if he can find a win, all the better for him, of course. Stanionis wants to win, and he will show that he's one of the very best at the top level if he can knock off someone like Ennis. And again, he is a live dog in this fight. And finally, what's in it for the winner? Yeah, tons, like there is so much of the time in these unification bouts, though maybe not at this weight. Both guys are big for 147 pounds and could very well move up with the win if they aren't able to get Brian Norman into the ring for a complete unification bout in a hurry at 147 pounds. The good news, there's definitely opportunities for both at 154 pounds, whoever happens to come through. Whether it's Sebastian Fundora, Virgil Ortiz, Murtazaliev, whoever it might be, there are going to be big quality fights to be had. So, all that said, let's get into this pick and break this fight down. Starting off with the favorite here, for Ennis to win, I think you want to double the jab. For you, that's going to be vitally important. It helps open up your offense and helps also blind Stanionis with your speed. Much more, it also throws Stanionis off. He's someone who likes to be set in his motions when he's throwing those shots. If you can back him up or just break up his set, that definitely helps you out. He also likes to wait before he throws punches, and a jab will keep him busy. I'd also say make sure to switch it up by jabbing to the body or throw those singles or triples. Just kind of keep him guessing and make it less predictable. I'd also say back your man up. Stanionis wants to come forward. That's his style. That's the natural ability that he typically has. He can back up a little bit, but it's a lot less effective, especially against someone like you. It also will help take some of the sting off of Stanionis' shots. If he's backing away and not able to get really a good chance to step into that power, the better for you. And of course, this is going to allow for you to give different angles and looks. You don't have to just back up or come inside. You can do a little bit of both and then circle away, turn them, do those sorts of things that you have a lot more ability to do if you're the one coming forward and initiating the action. Which sort of leads to my next point, which is no straight lines. Angles are going to be important for you. Again, turning him. If you need to back away to the, in a diagonal, that makes sense. But you don't want to be doing it in straight lines where Stanionis can then come forward, doesn't have to worry about the discrepancy in speed, and can just start throwing and potentially landing. don't want to do that. Straight lines, especially late, can be dangerous. If you get a little more tired, a little bit too comfortable, whatever it might be, it allows for openings that really shouldn't be there for you if you're Ennis. And finally, I would say test the body, especially when you're going inside. I think it's vital for you, if you're Ennis, to make sure you test the conditioning of Stanionis. True, he is very well conditioned, but it still has to pay the tax. It's the only way to slow him down. And you can do that by surprising him, throw those shots really quick, whip him under his elbow when he's not expecting it. That shot, no matter how well conditioned you are, can still potentially cause more damage. At the very least, you're scoring, lowering the guard, but potentially doing even more damage than that. Worst case though, it scores. You can take maybe a little bit of a gallon out of that tank overall and potentially make it a bit easier for yourself down the stretch. Now, switching over to the underdog here, for Stanionis to win, I think you need to close the exits. Ennis will box and move, but will also look to turn you with angles. He does like to switch it up in that way. You need to close off those escape routes, no matter what he does, whether it's in close and on the outside. When he turns, simple stuff. Take a step back. Don't allow him to get on the outside of you where you're in a very disadvantageous position. When he's on the outside trying to circle, you're simply stepping off to the side and trying to cut off the ring. You do have slower feet, so it's going to take some commitment to trying to get tells and reads on his movement. But when you get those down, you need to close those exits. I would also say don't wait to throw. You can sometimes wait your turn a bit, and in general, you shouldn't be doing that, but especially against someone like Ennis, who has speed on his side, has combinations. Waiting too long is a dangerous game. Instead, and this is most important for your offense in terms of my keys, in my opinion, you need to throw in between his shots when he's committed a bit more, especially with those combinations, and that's when you're going to have your best chance. He'll be in range, he'll be committing, potentially coming forward, and those power punches from you have the best chance of creating that double impact that he doesn't see coming and potentially hurting him. If you're waiting your turn, you're simply not able to do that. I would also say time a heavy jab. First of all, it's a good first shot. Again, it sets up a lot of your other offense. It's going to be stuff you're needing to get done to get your work done in this fight. So certainly make sure that's a shot that you're throwing. It can also help offset the speed of Ennis if timed correctly, and can force him to be a bit more in his shell if you're landing it with consistency. But it also helps tie in the next couple of points here, which the first one being throw that left to the body. This can work to slow Ennis down with his movement, his speed in general, both hand and foot. It's something that can definitely work to kind of slow him down. But also, as I was mentioning, this can be done as a jab as well. Just stab it down there. Try to take a little bit out of him, moment after moment, as you potentially slow him down a tick. Then you can start converting it into a hook to the body, which you throw really well, especially in close. When he tries to commit and you're in close already, of course, tax him. And this, of course, is another way of trying to also stop him from circling when he's trying to look for those exits we mentioned, if you're able to time it and throw that shot and catch him with it. But one of the biggest reasons you're going to want to go with that shot is because it sets up the final point, which is that lead right hand. That left, the way you throw it, you kind of dip off to the side, which is a way that you kind of position your body to throw the right hand. It helps disguise one another. When you can throw both of those and find timing in those moments for both those shots, it'll be potentially hard for Ennis to get a read on which of those two punches is coming. You then have the chance to land that lead right, which you throw really well and with some power, and catch Ennis off guard with it when he's looking for the left hook, and vice versa. So if you can get that jab going into that left to the body, into that lead right hand, you will have, in my opinion, some very good success in this contest. Now, in terms of my pick here, while Stanionis is a live dog, I'm rolling with the favorite in Ennis. Ultimately helping to form that decision would be the speed and the angles of Ennis. In a lot of other ways, I can kind of see Stanionis pulling this off if they were even. The question is, will he catch him? And I think the speed will be too much for Stanionis to overcome, especially down the stretch. Ennis will use quick jabs, combinations to catch Stanionis and avoid the returns with his movement. He might even back Stanionis up a few times, allowing Ennis to really build a lead. Don't think the American stops him, though. The left hand could do it if he catches Stanionis good with it, but I think ultimately he wins a comfortable enough decision, still in a relatively competitive fight. Winner, Jaron Ennis via unanimous decision, though it might be close down the stretch. Now, in terms of the betting odds here, we do have Ennis as a pretty sizable favorite, coming in at a minus 650, with Stanionis at a plus 410. The over-under set at 10.5, with the over coming in at minus 240 and the under at plus 180. Well, quite frankly, there's no value in an Ennis pick here. The favorite just doesn't do it for me. There's really just no value. I do think he wins, but the ROI, so to speak, just isn't there. If you like a long shot or really believe in Stanionis, great odds. But remember, they might be great for a reason. So certainly, potentially calm down the sizing maybe, or the range you might potentially bet there, I would suggest. In relation to these bets here, I like the under here. Ennis could really shine and get the stoppage. I also think Stanionis likely wins by stoppage if he pulls it off. Almost 2-1 in your favor ain't terrible with the under. But in any event, those are your odds. And my prediction record as of this recording is 3-1 with 2 exact for the year. But let me know your thoughts, your bets, your picks, all that good stuff down in the comments. And of course, check out the social media up top. Check out JAYONBOXING.com, subscribe, and check out another video here. Until next time.